Be strong.
Alrighty, well, a very, very, very happy Monday, and welcome to the throw-in here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. My name is Justin. Been getting a new week for you guys. Monday, March 20th, 2023. And man, there has been a lot of stuff already compacting in the world of sports here locally. Excited, and I want to apologize because Friday I was getting ready for an episode. It was just took my oldest to school Friday morning, came back home, got ready for an episode. And I was just gonna get ready, I was gonna do a show, and then things came along, pushed it back, and then pushed it back even further. And then I was talking to some people about trying to do a 6 to 8, getting ready for SmackDown. And then I guess it just kind of just got away from me. So didn't get a chance to do a show on Friday, and I apologize, because whenever you don't get a chance to do a program, it kind of ruins the routine, and I take a lot of pride and a lot of energy. So over the weekend, kind of just relaxed, got a chance to play the WWE 2K23 video game that really was released. And I gotta say, I think I'm pretty impressed with what WWE 2K had to come up with and had to offer. You got this enormous 46-man roster, including DLC packs. So I got the game digitally now, and I still have it on the PS4. I don't have the PS5 yet. So I got the game on the PS4, and 1 second. Always when I start the show, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh gosh, excuse me. But yeah, so I get the game Friday, and it's one of those things where I always complex with myself. All right, do I need the game? Am I going to actually play the game? Because the game is $60. So I got the game, and I started, while it's downloading, I think majority of us could, vouch for this, is I started looking at videos throughout the week about what's the new features. Is it worth, spending $60 to play Braun Breaker? Is it worth $60 to go through the showcase mode with John Cena? Is it worth the $60 for the My Universe, which has been crappy for years on end? Or, you want something new, refresh, revising, this and that, and all the above. And so I got the game on Friday. I finally made the decision. I was like, all right, I'm going to get the game. And I downloaded it, started playing it Friday night, the showcase mode. And I started getting frustrated already because, they tell you, you got to hit this move, you got to hit that move. Well, guess what? I don't get you're pressing the buttons and you're just never getting it. It took me, I got so frustrated because in the first match of the showcase mode, John Cena is facing Rob Van Dam. And I was getting upset with myself. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take my time with it. I'm going to step away. Saturday, I tuned back in. All right, I'm going to play through this. Got through the Rob Van Dam one. Got through, what was it? The Kurt Angle one. I was like, man, all right, now this seems easy. Get to the Undertaker, and I'm back with the same issues as problems. So I stepped away with that. I decided to get the season pass, which was like ungodly $40, but the season pass for me is going to get all the DLC packs. It's going to get me, unlocked everything. And then I started Um, after that, I started my rise, and I'm going through the lock, and I got up into um went through, and this spoiler alert here. He take you through the evolution path where Randy Orton kind of recreates a modern version of evolution with a um in-game character that they created. And I got up to Survivor Series to the 6-man tag match, and I'm like, all right, the objective is to help Randy Orton and this guy win and keep their titles, because I guess because you win the IC title, you go on, and Randy Orton and this guy has won the Raw tag team titles, and then the objective is as Survivor Series is to help your team retain those titles. And when you have 6 people, you have 3 people on the other side, it makes it a little bit more difficult to compete. So I took a break from that, started my GM yesterday, which I have to say there are new features, there's new objectives. I like that in my rise there are you could choose the path you're going down. And what I also like about it is that they also speak to you. There's audio to it, so you kind of feel a little bit more involved. And you really get to kind of push back. You get to have a say. It does lead you down to either you're going to go 2 directions. You got to hit those directions, and those objectives in order to advance. But I like it. I think it's new from the old one, and I don't know, as I play it, I don't know how much further, once the stories are done, what's going to happen afterwards, because usually that's always the stale point of the career. Uh, my GM mode so far so good. I just drafted my list. I actually have the list here, and I ended up drafting. I really tried to do, like, I took my time drafting, and I drafted a couple of talent stars: Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, Cody Rhodes, and so I kind of have my first night ready to go. But I'll have to, we'll see how that week 1 goes. I want to take my time and kind of really do it right when it comes down to booking. So WWE 2K23 came out officially back on Friday. If you guys haven't gotten, I recommend you guys getting it. And it's a lot of fun. But all right. What do we talk about here today? What do you guys want to talk about today? We'll get into WWE here in a moment, but around the world of sports, around the Cincinnati world of sports, the Cincinnati, heading into the weekend, we had 3 teams we were looking out for: the Cincinnati Bearcats, the Kentucky Wildcats, and the Xavier Musketeers, because the Bearcats were in the NIT tournament. They advanced to to face Hofstra Pride on Saturday, and they go on to win on Saturday's game 79-65. Odi Akwama, 14 points, 11 rebounds, a double-double. He was 7 for 8 from the glass there. Cincinnati 15-20 with 75% from the free throw. Landers Nolly goes through it up 20, and I think this was, this is a game. This was a fun game. And it's not the NCAA tournament, but it is, whenever you still when your local teams get into the tournament, you want them to go on to win. So Cincinnati Bearcats advance to the final 8. We'll get down to the NIT brackets here a little bit later on, but then they head over to Kentucky and to Xavier, and both teams had a game on Friday. Kentucky had a game against Providence, and which they won 61-73. Xavier goes on to beat Kennesaw State 72-71, and they go on and advance to Saturdays and Sundays game. Well, Kentucky, the Wildcats face Kansas State Sunday. And a matter of fact, when I woke up Sunday morning, I jumped on to the computer. I was gonna maybe turn on a game or turn on a movie and do some doing some work for this morning. And Pittsburgh and Musketeer and Xavier kicks off the day with the second round of the NCAA tournament, and it was a good game. Kind of listened to majority of it, and then but they held on to win. The thing was is that in the first half they got on to a early 15-point lead, and they kind of cruised all the way there. Not allowing them to close the gap. Xavier goes on to win 84-73, and but then I was like, all right, gets me motivated. Kentucky's coming up, and I know Kansas State. Kansas State's going to be a tough matchup. Well, Kansas State, this was a close one, 29-26 in the first half. And then, Kentucky kind of creeps up, takes the lead. And then with like 3 minutes to go, and this is how college basketball works, you guys. You could have a lead. You could have a 10-point lead with 2 minutes to go. And within those 2 minutes, the tables can completely turn. So we unfortunately did not see Kentucky advance as they fell short to Kansas State, 75-69. I thought it was a nice, tough battle. It was some great stuff when we get into the details here in the next segment. But Xavier on this one advances to the Sweet 16, and they're going to be facing Texas on Friday night's game. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I believe that game's at 9:45. Yeah. So as far as my, we'll get over to the Sweet 16, who's playing, who's expected, kind of who's projected to win early on, and all that stuff there. So we'll talk a lot about NIT and Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament over so far. We'll talk about some Cincinnati Reds baseball as they recap a weekend of sports around the horn with the Cyclones and college baseball, as well as getting you guys ready for Monday Night Raw. We are on the road to WrestleMania, you guys. 12 days away to night one of WrestleMania 39, and 10 days away from Major League Baseball's opening day. So excited to talk about that. But let's kick off on Saturday. All right. Friday night SmackDown. Well, let's kick off on Friday. Excuse me. Monday morning's already messing up. All right, let's kick off on SmackDown here to begin things. And what were your guys' thoughts? I personally was a bit disappointed with how SmackDown was booked on Friday night. I thought it started off great on to begin the show, when Cody Rhodes came out and decided that he was going to be the mediator between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, saying, hey, listen, you guys don't have to be friends, but you guys both are battling the same battle. And if you guys don't come together, you guys ain't going to accomplish anything. And I agree with that, right? What questioned me the most, because there were some good moments on SmackDown. There were some bad moments. But what kind of got me hyped up for SmackDown Friday night was the Drew McIntyre and Sheamus #1 contenders match to face Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. And it was a good build-up leading into it. And I thought that this should have been the main event. And as a matter of fact, I was a little disappointed. This is kind of where things got a little disappointing for me, because the build-up for this match exclaimed that this should have been a main event. The Intercontinental Championship should have been the main event. That's one thing I think SmackDown and the WWE lacks, is that while Roman Reigns is not making an everyday appearance, we should be seeing, the Intercontinental Championship step up to the plate. Well, we didn't. We had this once again full circle around the bloodline, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which it isn't technically a bad thing. But if you watched Friday night and you listened to that crowd, I don't think the crowd really sparked the way that they did for compared to the number one contenders match. And so it was promoted, heavenly. And Sami Zayn and Jey Uso or Jimmy Uso, whichever one of those two, promoting to the main event was not a really big buildup. As a matter of fact, I didn't hear nothing about this until Friday, heading into the show. And I have some differences. So if I was booking at it, I think everything that led up to the Intercontinental Championship match, number one contender spot, was fine by me. I'm okay with that. When I heard that the number one contenders match was going to come up next, and we're about 30 minutes away from the show ending, I'm like, all right. I think these two guys, these are brawling guys, these are brawling brutes. This is going to be a physical match. I could see this match maybe be double counted out. Maybe both men couldn't get back to their feet, and Adam Pearce would have to restart the match because Gunther really wants a opponent. But then the way that match, that would have led me up to the main event, right? Led you up to the final minutes of SmackDown. But no, we also saw the Imperium get involved and said, like, that's enough, enough's enough. And for me, it really just now weakens this match, this triple threat match that now Adam Pearce has claimed, saying, hey, listen, I thought you were a battling person. I thought you're one to, I thought you're a one to who would honestly, compete, let these two men, you wanted honestly the best of the best. And so you didn't get that. So I was a little disappointed in how everything kind of went underway. And on top of that, the crowd reaction that we did not get also played a part. And this is what Gunther had to say about his reaction. So this is his thoughts of the triple threat match.
For weeks and weeks we've been talking, right? For weeks and weeks we needed the decision.
Excuse me, Gunter. Can I get a comment?
Comments? Would a comment on this? This is a disgrace. This place is a disgrace. That is just Adam Pearce covering up his own fault. That's all it is. That's why it's a triple threat match and not a singles match, how it should have been. I'll tell you this. I've beaten Sheamus before, twice. So can I beat Drew McIntyre. And come WrestleMania, they will understand what it means when we say the mat is sacred.
Now, personally, for me, okay, I'm a little bit disappointed because it's not Adam Pearce kind of trying to cover up who should face Gunther at WrestleMania. This is clearly Imperium's involvement, because if it wasn't for Giovanni, if it wasn't for Ludwig, we would have had a clear winner. And it was, I think, a really perceived match. I thought, and it was probably one of my greatest matches of the week. So honestly, there was a couple, if I was booking SmackDown, a couple things would have changed. We'll dive into that a little bit deeper. We see ourselves a triple threat match now between Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Gunther for WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. And Gunther has no one to blame but himself. So we'll dive a little bit into that later on. We'll keep on talking about SmackDown later on in the program. When we come back from break, we'll want to talk about the NCAA basketball tournaments that's been going around over the weekend. We want to welcome everyone into on a Monday. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, we thank you. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Be sure to have those notifications on. Don't miss a single episode. If you guys are also tuning us in through Facebook and through Twitter, we thank you. Welcome you guys over. Hit that like, share button. Share with your friends. Come in. If you guys want to comment, head on over to our YouTube page and comment down below. Also, if you guys are listening to us on the road, whether it's at work, whether it's on the, driving, we thank you. Drive safely, and we welcome and thank you guys for all the audio listeners. All right, let's take a time out of the morning. Let's come on back and continue the sports. Got a busy program up ahead. You guys are listening to The Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, 11:25 here. I want to give our shout out to our friends over at StreamYard Studios, the proud home of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. You guys could create your podcast, videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct interviews. Check out their free version today at StreamYard.com. All right. I was talking about StreamYard. There was Steve over there, Armchair Booking, sent me a guy who is trying to, learn a little bit about podcasting and uploading and all that stuff. And, so I was like, he was like, yeah, hey, Steve came to me. He was like, hey, listen, you have I have a friend that does, part of a podcast, and he has himself he's also affiliated with StreamYard, and he would like to learn a little bit about, ways of how to upload the episode to audio platforms. And I'm like, great, send my way. So I think it's great when you get to meet other people that also have StreamYard, and hopefully I get to chat with this guy a little bit more, because I like to pick the brains and, hey, how do you use StreamYard to your advantage? Is yours just a simple, or are you actually going into deep, and how much work are you putting into with StreamYard and whatnot and all that fun stuff? So it was just great hearing about someone else using StreamYard for once. NCAA tournaments are here, and we had a lot of action around championship bracket. NIT wise, Cincinnati Bearcats went on and beat Hofstra on Saturday, along with Vanderbilt beating Michigan. Cincinnati won 79-65. Nolly Landers put up 20 points. Victor Lakin put up 16. David DeJulius put up 15. He was 2 for 2 for the free throw, but it was Adi Aguama who put up 14 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 for 8 from the glass with a double-double. 15 for 20 as a team with a 75% free throw range. They were 30 for 57 with 52.6% from the glass. They advanced to the final 8 of the tournament, and they will be facing Utah Valley Wednesday, 9 p.m. And, I've heard, living in San Diego, I've always heard, because for the longest time, the Aztecs were NIT bound, or they would go into the tournament losing in the first round. He was kind of continuously always a mention. And for me, this is where I enjoy having multiple teams in the region, because you have Cincinnati, you have Xavier, you have Northern Kentucky, which I know I don't cover a lot of, and they entered in the NCAA tournament losing to Houston. But then you go down south to Lexington with Kentucky Wildcats, and you have yourselves 3 or 4 good organizations and programs that one team's bound to advance, especially when sports such as football and basketball and even baseball out here in Kentucky and in Ohio is so serious. They take a lot of pride into that. I was also hearing a high school baseball season starting up. And trust me, when football season's around, when basketball season's around, from little league all the way up to the pros, they can, we have a passion here for sports and for these teams. One team's always doing well. And the Cincinnati Bearcats, although they're not in the NCAA tournament, they're holding their ground in the NIT, and they're advancing to the final 8, where, and I have it all right here, where they will be playing Wednesday. You have Vanderbilt and UAB, 7 p.m., the first game. And then, but hey, the NIT continues tomorrow, because North Texas takes on Oklahoma State 7 p.m. and then Wisconsin takes on Oregon at 9 p.m. So by the end of this weekend, hopefully we should know who the winner of the NIT tournament. And I think if you're the Bearcats, I think you have a legitimate case you've had a good season. You weren't ranked, which is understandable, but you should probably be considered in the top, be one of those 64 teams. You didn't get in. And for whatever reason, you're given this opportunity. Going on to winning the NIT for Cincinnati, I think is a big deal. I think it's if you go on and win the NIT, maybe you get relooked at as like, how come this team wasn't in the NCAA tournament? Not knowing that if they could have played better in the NCAA tournament, but still. My weekend NIT results, I was 5-3 for my pickings. I lost again with I chose Liberty to win. I chose Morehead State to win, and I chose Colorado to win. So, 5 for 8, and then I was 8 for 8 in the first round. So that's 13 and 11. Not too bad. So that is the NIT side of things. And but we also had the NCAA tournament, which when you see Kentucky and you see Xavier in, you kind of get a little bit more rejoiced. We had Wildcats kicking things off in the tournament, facing Providence Friars, where they actually won 61-53. Antonio Reeves put up 22 points. Jacob Toppin put up 18 points. And I'm sorry, but Friday and Sunday's game was all about Oscar Shriby, who put up 8 points but 25 rebounds. Excuse me, gosh. I knew that was going to come out eventually. But yeah, in game 1, Oscar put up 25 rebounds, and I thought that was very impressive. We also saw Kentucky on Sunday playing Kansas State. This was going to be a more difficult battle. But they hung in their own. They were down by 3 at the first half. They were also down by 3 in the down by 3 in comparisons to second half, making them down by 6, losing 75-69. They had a couple of moments where they took the lead and then they lost it. For a moment there, I was getting excited, but it was, and definitely Xavier's game, which we'll talk about here next, kind of brought me up to the whole point of, hey, all right, so if Xavier can win, I have much more, optimistic opportunities for Kentucky to win. Oscar, once again, 25 points, 18 rebounds for, he was just dominant at the glass. Like it was both ways, from shooting and from defense. He was right there. And it was I think the game changer here, because Kentucky got out to a really early lead. And they were up like 20, they were up like about like 10 points at one time in the first half. And then it just seemed like either Kansas State figured out what type of game Kentucky was playing and they adjusted, or the wheels just kind of stopped. And by the time the end of the first half happened, Kansas kind of already knew the game plan that Kentucky had. And so it kind of had to rearrange everything. And even though Kentucky, every time Kentucky got onto a streak, they were getting upheld, something would happen where the defense became flat, and they would end up taking a step backwards. Case and Wallace, 21 points in the game. So Kentucky's basketball season comes to an end. They finish off the year 22-12. Conference play 12-16. At home, they finished off 14-4. On the road, 6-4. And at neutral sites, 2-2. While the Xavier Musketeers, well, they go on and they beat Kennesaw State on Friday. Jack Nungy, 10 points, 11 rebounds for a double-double. Colby Jones put up 12 points. Only Boom put up 17 points. Jerome Hunter put up 24 points. As a team, they put 22 for 30 at the free throw line. That's 73%. On Sunday, the first game of the morning, they faced Pittsburgh, and they kind of just cruised. They got out to a nice 14-point lead. 14-point lead in the first half, and they kind of cruised. They fell flat on the second half, but enough to keep them on the win column, 84-73, and they advanced to the Sweet 16. Kobe Jones, 10 points, 14 rebounds, 61% from the free throw line. Jack Nungy got fouled out early in the second half as he put up 18 points. Sole Boom also 14 points in the contribution. They're trying to go for Hunter late in the game because he wasn't so great at shooting free throws. But, I think overall, well said. Great performance by our teams, and they advance to the Sweet 16. They'll be facing Texas, number 2 Texas, on Friday. And I have it here. Let me find out. There we go, my Sweet 16 stuff. Over the weekend, you saw, I was 7 for 9. Wasn't bad. I mean, if I could leave at 500, if not going over 500, then I'm great. I get to see San Diego State advance to the Sweet 16. I get to see UCLA advance to the Sweet 16, those were a couple games I was looking out for. Houston advancing after beating Auburn on Saturday, 81-64. Marquette fell short of Michigan State, 69-60. So I'm just kind of a little joyful for that, so that we don't really have to face them again. Gonzaga upset at TCU 84-81 in yesterday's second round bracket. Creighton beat Baylor, and UConn beat St. Mary's, which was actually surprising. So compared to the first day, it was 10-6. That's 19-13, and then 22-11. 22-11. I'm going to do the calculations here. 18-30. So I'm 31-18 so far in NCAA tournament predictions. The Sweet 16 begins on Thursday. We have 4 games, including Michigan State and Kansas State, Gonzaga and UCLA, followed by Friday, San Diego State taking on Alabama, Xavier taking on Texas, Princeton taking on Creighton. So we have a much more impactful games here coming your way in the tournament. So yeah, that's kind of how your basketball teams are done. If you guys are following any teams, what teams do you have favorite? I'll give you my predictions here in the next couple of days. Actually, I want to say on Thursday as well. All right, let's take a step aside. Let's take a break and come on back. Talk about the Cincinnati Reds. They had a 3-game weekend series. Let you know how that all went and more. You guys are listening to The Throwing right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All righty, welcome back here to the throw-in on a Monday, 11:43 in this morning. For the next 2 hours, take you guys up until 1 o'clock on a Monday. Welcome back. And, busy weekend the last couple weeks when it comes down to sports, at least. Like I said, my weekend was really consisted of playing, kind of relaxing, playing the WWE 2K23 game. And yes, after I get done my work today, planning on playing it later on tonight, hopefully. Trying to get the feel for it. And so we'll talk about a little bit more about the game as it came out back on Friday, encouraging everyone to get to it. But the Cincinnati Reds, because this is why kind of one of the categories where I haven't really paid a lot of attention to, is the baseball. I think baseball has kind of put a little bit to a halt over the weekend, and I don't know how much of that has to do with me not putting on a show Friday. So, but the Cincinnati Reds had a weekend over this past Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They kicked things off on Friday where they beat the Cleveland Guardians 7-1, and we saw Graham Ashcraft, who picked up his second win of the season, going 4 innings, 2 hits, 5 strikeouts. Jonathan India seeing on a more regular day role now because, the Reds are cutting players, having to get down to that 40-man roster. So 2 for 4 with the run and on RBI. Jake Fraley hitting a solo 2-run home run, I believe. Jose Barrero went 2 for 2 with 2 runs and 2 RBIs in Friday's game. I'm like, all right, I'm starting to feel it, especially because the Reds are winding down, cutting players. These other organizations are doing all the same thing. On top of that, this is a little motivation that you need to see from the Reds, especially for a guy like Graham Ashcraft, who's expected to get Sunday's game, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, right, against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So exciting win. Then heading into Saturday, where the Reds went on to beat the Oakland Athletics 7-1, 12 hits, no errors in the win. Brandon Williamson, who is trying to make that case, went 4 innings, 2 hits, giving up a run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. A home run by Stuart Fairchild, who may not get the opening day roster, it looks like. But, I mean, he's trying to fight. There is that fight a little bit, into, who's going to make that final opening day roster. And what we'll get to here in a moment is that Mark Sheldon on March 17th, which is Friday, did another projection of the opening day roster, which we'll get to. So let's get back over here. Just waiting for everything to load. There we go. What we need. And then yesterday, the Reds took care of, fell short against Milwaukee, 4-3. And Luis Essa returned from the World Baseball Classics, which we'll talk here in the hour number 2 program. Jonathan India did 2 for 4 with a home run. But Luis Essa went 3 innings, giving up 2 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. Weaver has kind of been down with an injury. And I guess concerning spots that we get into close to opening day is trying to fill in the final 2 spots of the rotation. There's still some battle left into it. Now, last week I mentioned this. There's 5 pitchers right now. Luke Weaver, who's kind of been dealing with his so-called injury that he's had. And I don't say let's rush him out there, but he's kind of still one of my fan favorite. Luis Sessa, another one, is kind of a fan favorite. Connor Overton, Chase Anderson, and Brandon Williamson. Now we're here heading towards the end of March, and I think these outings, because there's only going to be like another one, maybe two outings that these guys are going to have, are really going to make the decision for David Bell to be difficult. You know, especially when you're trying to work on guys like Connor Overton and Brandon Williamson. Yes, I think it'd be the safe decision to throw in Luke Weaver and Luis Sessa, maybe throwing in Chase Anderson. I've also been talking about throughout, this spring training that we should consider taking one of these starters and tossing them into the bullpen more as a longevity spot. We saw a little bit last year with Luis Sessa, and I wouldn't mind seeing Luis Sessa be maybe that eighth guy in the rotation, because I'm going to start setting standards to these players. And guys like Hunter Green and Nick Lodolu and Graham Ashcraft, they're guys that are going to have to give me a solid 6 outings each and every time. Okay. Starting opening day. Like there's no, all right, I'm going to let you a month into April to work on getting into 6 innings. No, these 3 guys were so locked in and set of this is how the season is going to be progressive. And I'm going to expect something out of these guys. Now, if you're in a really tight, if you're throwing a lot of, if you're up at beyond 8 strikeouts, then maybe the 5th inning is understandable. And I understand. I got to remind myself that first outing or 2, I know David Bell is not going to force them to go 6-7 innings, but my birthday is in April. It was on April 23rd. And I expect the starting 3, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolu, Graham Ashcraft, to give you a solid 6 innings per outing. Luke Weaver, I'm concerned about bringing Luke Weaver up to the majors if he's not healthy enough. I'd rather throw Connor Overton and Chase Anderson or even Luis Sessa. But I like I said, I like that 6th guy in that, in the rotation, but being part of that bullpen, and then giving one of these younger guys an opportunity to kind of build in that 5th spot. And, first person that, maybe I like in favorite is honestly Brandon Williamson. In my opinion, I think he's kind of proven to me so far this year, or at least during the spring. But I kind of I get that feeling. It's going to be Luke Weaver, Luis Sessa, the 4 or 5 guys. If you put Sessa in the bullpen, maybe Connor Overton, but I really think Connor Overton is going to be down in the minors. Now, Mark Sheldon back on Friday, we haven't gotten a chance to get to this. It's kind of, really, as of Friday, there was 45 players remaining in big league camp, right? He laid out his projection of his top 25 come opening day. And he still has 3 catchers, Tyler Stevenson, Kurt Casale, Luke Molly. Now, Austin Romine got cut, and hopefully he goes on and gets signed with the ball club, as long as it's not with one of our division rivalries here, right? That's how I feel. Joey Votto is going to probably be your first baseman, although we've talked about this before and how Votto can be more of your designated hitter. You'll probably see a lot more Tyler Stevenson, Will Myers out there at first base. Jonathan India will be your second baseman. Friday, he entered Friday with a 4 for 26 as spring. He's going to have to start hitting it up, but when there's positions, when you're trying to try to build your team and see what else you have, it's going to take a while for a guy like Jonathan India to get up to the, to standard. Jose Barrero, Kevin Newman will be your play guys at shortstop. And I think Kevin Newman is warranted, valid to help Barrero, but Barrero is going to really have to step up this season as your everyday shortstop. Spencer Steer will be your third baseman. and then you'll have carry 5 outfielders: Will Myers, Jake Fraley, well, 4 outfielders in that case, excuse me. Will Myers, Jake Fraley, TJ Friedel, and Will Benson. Nick Senzel right now, he's not going to be ready for opening season because of his left big toe. So it leaves the center fielder spot out there. I like these guys so far. Chad Pinder is going to be on the bench, and because you have an extra catcher, that fills up your extra utility spot. But like I said, if you're using Tyler Stevenson as a DH or as a first baseman, then I think you should be solid. But then you really, realistically, Kevin Newman and probably TJ Friedel, if not Will Benson. Those are your only 2 guys off the bench that you can really rely on. That's your utility guy. So you're really expecting a lot. And this is kind of where it's concerning because, yeah, you're carrying 3 catchers, but Tyler Stevenson can only play first base or DH. Joey Votto can play first base or DH. I mean, the day, like realistically, if you need days off for a Jose Barrero or even a Jonathan India, it's going to be shared among Kevin Newman. Yeah, you have TJ Friedel, Chad Pinder. Okay. I'm going to give it a try, but I mean, it's going to, the Reds are already going to head into the season in a little sticky situation. And right now, I think Pinder is the best spot because he could play infield and outfield as well. Matt Reynolds, he's dealing with a quad injury. I don't think he was looking to be the guy that they would look hopefully to bring up. Nick Solak, he's making the team, he's just one of those guys. All right, starting pitcher wise, and this is where they have things, kind of over. Hunter Green, Nick Lodolu, Graham Ashcraft is your 3 settled guys. Connor Overton and Luke Weaver are your next 2. This is given that Luke Weaver is healthy enough for opening day. And I hate to see this, but I kind of get that gut feeling that Luke Weaver is going to be one of your top guys injured come in the month of April. Hopefully that's not the case because I really will like his, experience to rub off on some of these other guys. Connor Overton, giving him that opportunity and that chance. And this is where I think that bullpen is also helpful. So you have Alexis Diaz as your closer. Lucas Sim, Buck Farmer, Revere San Martin, Fernando Cruz, Alex Young, and I see that Luis Sessa in there. Ian Gibbott is also part of your relief status. He took out Hunter Strickland from the previous attempts and put Sessa in. I like that move. Hunter Strickland didn't have a 2022 season, and he's given that other opportunity, which I think is great. I think is wonderful. But at the same time, keeping him down in maybe the minor leagues where maybe he could work on something and then get called up and brought up as the season progresses. And if they need him, would be also essential. But I really like how Mark Sheldon put Luis Sessa in the rotation because he will be used as more of a 6-man rotation. He will also be able to help the guys out, who's starting the game. If you need someone to eat up innings or whatnot, he's also a key element. So, all right, our number 1 of the program is done with. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to us. Our number 2 is coming up. A trip around Cincinnati sports, as well as a little bit more talk about SmackDown and heading into Monday Night Raw. You guys are listening to The Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
about to leave. Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free.
Laugh it to the bank like laugh it to the bank like I got it in 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s.
Alrighty. Well, a happy Monday, happy midday. It is lunchtime. If you guys are tuning us in and listening to us while you guys are on lunch, we appreciate it. Thank you guys. Welcome to the program. Justin here on a Monday, a little bit later than normal, but getting the show in. Want to give a big shout out to our gut friends over at Spreaker from iHeartRadio. Spreaker. Download the app today. Spreaker is also the home of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All podcasts, interviews, and videos are uploaded to Spreaker.com, where we can create content, monetize content for you, the listeners. So if you guys are listening us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, any platform, most likely it's thanks to Spreaker. And if you guys are also looking for a platform yourself to upload audio and potentially get paid for it, check out Spreaker.com. All righty. Well, today the Cincinnati Reds will be taking on the Los Angeles Angels at home at the Goodyear, I believe it's Goodyear Park. Los Angeles Angels 13-7. We'll have Chase Seth on the mound. He is 1-0 with an ERA of a 3.60. For the Reds, coming into gameplay, 11-11. Nick Lodolu will be on the mound. He is 3-0 on the year, as he also carries a 3.38 ERA. So we will see that today at 4:05 p.m. if you guys are looking for some baseball action. Around the horn here, the Cincinnati Cyclones have swept the weekend series as they beat the Iowa Heartlanders on Friday night 1-3. They also beat the Heartlanders on Saturdays 4-2, and then they took on the Fort Wayne Commons, beating them 2-1. Zach Andrusiak picked up his 26th and 27th goal over the weekend. Patrick Polimo had an excellent weekend, picking up two goals on Friday against the Heartlanders, and then picking up another one on Saturday, making it 19 for the season. Louis Caparuso picked up his 20th and 21st over the weekend of goals, and Justin Vave added on to his number 29 goal in the season. Cincinnati Cyclones currently hold the first place position in the ECHL Central standings. Cincinnati it comes into gameplay this week 40-12-3 in front of Toledo Walleyes 41-15-2, and then Indy Field, who also clinched a playoff spot over the weekend. They come into the week 37-21-0. Wednesday will be the Cyclones' next game, as they have a road game trip. It's every other day, so they'll play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, all against Utah Grizzlies. And Wednesday's game, the puck drops at 9:10. College baseball among us here, as the Cincinnati Bearcats. Let me get to the Bearcats first. Yep, Cincinnati Bearcats had a 2-game series over Princeton Tigers, losing both of them. Friday they lost 7-5. Chase Horse picks up the second loss on the season. He's 1 for 2. He went 2 2/3 of an inning, giving up 6 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Ryan Nicholson, 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs in the loss. Carrington Cross hit a home run in Friday's loss against the Tigers. Saturday, they lost 3-2, a little closer game. Chase Hopwell pitched 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. The Bearcats' next game is going to be on the road against Xavier this Wednesday at 3 p.m. The Musketeers had a 3-game series over against the Wolford Terraries. A doubleheader on Saturday, game 1. The Musketeers won 9-1. Ethan Bosacker pitched 9 innings, giving up 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. Pitch hitter Hayden Christensen went 1 for 1 with a home run in the game. The second game of the doubleheader went 14 innings, as the Musketeers mustered a 3-run home run by Jack Hausinger in the top of the 14th for a 5-2 win. Hausinger went 2 for 7 with 3 RBIs and a home run, game-winning 3-run home run to win the game. Brent Alazaz went 7 innings, giving up 4 hits and 11 strikeouts. Sunday's game, they also beat the Terraries 14-10. Luke Bell went 5 innings, giving up 5 hits, 5 runs. Matthew Dupree, Carter Hendrickson, and Jared Cushing all hit home runs in Sunday's action. Their next game will be against the Bearcats at 3 p.m. They are currently 10-9 on the season with a 3-game winning streak. They are 10-8 on the road and 0-1 at home. Kentucky Wildcats baseball, they just keep on crushing it. 14-game winning streak as they swept the Mississippi State, excuse me. First game on Friday, they beat the Wildcats beat Mississippi State 6-5 in 10 innings. Darren Williams went 4 1/3 of an inning, gave up 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Chavez Seth won the game. He goes to 2-0, striking out 3 batters in his outing. Saturday's win was 12-3. Tyler Bozma goes 4 2/3 of an inning, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks. Hunter Gilliam 1 for 2 with the home run and 3-run RBI. Sunday's win 17-3. Final in 7 innings. Jackson Gray, who went 4 for 5, scoring in 3 runs in Sunday's win. Their next game is going to be tomorrow night at home against Eastern Kentucky. First pitch is at 6:30. And just getting a chance to look at these college teams and how these teams are playing kind of gets me motivated and excited because we're only 10 days away from opening day. And so being able to start saying, all right, this is what we're going to be doing. It's like, all right, there has to be a little bit of excitement there going on. World Baseball Classics. USA demolished Cuba. Well, let's take you back to Friday because Puerto Rico fell short to Mexico. Mexico advances and will play Japan today at 7 p.m. We also had Saturday, United States beat Venezuela 9-7. Gosh, keeping you on your toes. And then Cuba fell short to United States 14-2, as now United States is, waiting to see their opponent tomorrow night. So Japan and Mexico take place tonight, 7 p.m. I'm going to have to tune into a little bit of it. We also got Monday Night Raw and so many other things going on. But then you also have, and the winner of that will face the United States in the World Baseball Classic tomorrow night. So it's starting to wind down, coming down to you very quickly. The World Baseball Classic is fun to watch. I definitely enjoy getting to watch major league ball players represent their country. And it's also a good example of watching these players, especially like you take a look at the Reds, who had 16 ball players represent a country, represent the home country in the World Baseball Classics. What it does for me is that, it gives them that case of, hey, maybe they're struggling in the minors, maybe they're struggling in spring training. It gives them that opportunity to kind of show their ball club what they're capable of doing in different foundations, formats. Now, I think the only problem is that as we get closer to this, to the opening day, is that, hey, listen, if I'm not pitching, if I'm not going to be involved into this game, let me go back and go back to my team and let me start working with them, because honestly, you're going to probably get the best amount of work from your own franchise. The issue that I saw over the weekend is that you had the New York Mets closer. I know, was it Jose Altuve, who had to get surgery now? Is that, Juan Soto from the Padres has an oblique strain. That players are getting hurt in the World Baseball Classic, especially important players that are expected to, have a significant impact on a team's, team season. It's part of the game. You get to go out there and have fun, but it's just like, I think of the World Baseball Classic like the All-Star game. It's hard because you don't want to, you're not playing, who says that this didn't happen during the spring training season? But I feel that when it comes down to the World Baseball Classic, there is a clear separation. in spring training, you are working on certain goals. You're working on certain conditioning stuff to get you ready for the season. You are working on things that that you're slowly getting into, like your at bats, your reps, moving around. The weather is much colder, and when during at World Baseball Classics, when you're named on a team, I think the team is going for let's play as hard as you can to win the ball game. There's not much consideration of, hey, these guys haven't had much playing time. And I'm not trying to make excuses, but when you compare United States to teams like playing, from players that are playing in Japan or Korea or China, their season starts early on. And so they're already out there in the month of January, maybe even December, getting ready for this. So their body is a little bit more acclimated. A lot of these players are going to represent these countries are kind of going through the business, and they're playing different baseball than what they're playing back at spring training, which can cause injuries. And I think it's going to be frustrating. It's frustrating to see, you have top guys that are potentially out, like Jose Altuve is a big injury and a big, situation that for the Houston Astros, that you maybe question your players going to World Baseball Classics again. But semifinals is tonight, and the finals will be tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow when that comes. The XFL Week 5 is also past us. The Houston Roughnecks lost to the Seattle Sea Dragons 21-14 on Thursday. Saturday, there was 2 games. The DC Defenders beat St. Louis Battlehawks 28-. Vegas Vipers beat Orlando Guardians 35-32. And then last night's action, which was really late, and I didn't stay up to watch it, Arlington Renegades beat San Antonio Brahmas 12-10. So the Defenders moved to 5-0. They are now the only undefeated team as the Roughnecks lost. They lost 21-14. And then Vegas Vipers won, so they got into the win column. Orlando Guardians are the only team who has not picked up a victory yet this season as they head into week 6. So we'll talk a little bit about that as the week progresses, heading into week 6 in their schedule. But yeah, that's your trip around your local sports here. All right. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about SmackDown. I have my show of the week and my superstar of the week, which you guys may or may not digress. And then we'll get you guys prepped up and ready for Monday Night Raw, which is tonight. We are only 12 days, you guys, from WrestleMania Night 1. So that's all still to come. Hour number 2, take you guys up until 1 o'clock. You guys are listening to The Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty, welcome back here on the throw-in. 12:20. And we are just winding down closer and closer to WrestleMania. 2 weeks, 12 days away for 2 nights. And back on Friday night, we're going to get a sneak preview of what I guess a sneak preview of everything that a sneak preview of what the Intercontinental Championship was going to look like. And as I told you guys on the top of the program at the beginning, I said I wasn't too fond of how the show ended, and I think it represented me not being so happy about how the number one contenders match went down. First of all, let me talk about this match. I first of all felt that this match should have been the main event, and that these are two, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre are two kind of heavyweight fighters, right? And you can say that it was predictable that it was going to turn into a triple threat match at WrestleMania. And I would agree with you under that circumstance. But the way that everything unfolded and unraveled heading into that match and post-match, I think was just a bunch of nonsense. Okay, I laugh at the way that match ended, and it could have been a 4.5, if not 5-star segment, but with the Imperium deciding that they were going to step in during the match and attack both men, and then Adam Pearce announcing that, hey, if you want to run away from your opponents and not thinking that you're gonna, after saying that you want the best of the best, it's brought that match, that segment, and all that down to maybe a 2.5 to a 3-star. Really disappointing, in my opinion. And maybe I'm just the blindside guy out here in left field that sees it. I started talking about this at the beginning of the program, and time restraints kind of pushed along. But if I was me booking, first of all, it would have been the main event. Second of all, it would have went the entire 30 minutes. I would have even had Imperium at ringside. At best, I would have Imperium up on the stage, at the front, by Gorilla, just watching the match from a view. Second, well, that's third. Fourth, I would have both Sheamus and Drew McIntyre maybe get counted out, where the match gets taken out into the crowd, or even they both couldn't make it back to the ring. Adam Pearce had to come out, restart the match, commercial break, restart, let's go. I would also have both men get double counted out, in a sense, where both of them couldn't make it to their feet. And if I was finishing that way, I would have had that to happen. And then what I would have done, and then if that's the case, I would have Adam Pearce and say, listen, both of these men have fought for the last 30 minutes. Neither one of them can, we can't come to a conclusion. So both of them are going to be entered in to face Gunther, because both of them have shown the best of the best, and Gunther would have been okay with it. And then have Imperium, Giovanni, and Ludwig charge the ring and attack both Sheamus and Drew, leaving them flat out in the ring. If it was me booking, that's the way I would go about. But I think we have to be settled with what we saw, and now that's going to be a triple threat match. And, like I said, let me know what you guys think because, in my opinion, I just wasn't a fan of how that finished, which then led us into the main event. And let me talk to you guys about that for a minute. Now, Cody Rhodes at the beginning of the show came out and tried to play mediator again with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And for one, Cody Rhodes seems to be sticking his nose into the Bloodlines business when he really should be focusing just about facing Roman Reigns. Because if Cody Rhodes does not win at WrestleMania, I'm honestly going to go back and say, well, the reason why you didn't win was because you're so focused on the Bloodline and what the Usos and Solo Sikoa was doing, and you were so focusing on trying to help Sami Zayn and help Kevin Owens that you didn't focus on your match yourself. Now, I do understand a little bit of what Cody Rhodes is trying to do. He's trying to, one, he sees Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens as one. He's trying to help them out, and I get that. I appreciate that. Two, he's also trying to get them on the same page because he wants a little bit of help because he doesn't want to have the Bloodline have anything to do between his match against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, which it makes sense. But I think he's devoting too much of his time to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Now, the opening segment of SmackDown, I thought was very impressive. And I actually liked it. They were able, you had both men, all three men in the ring talking about their feelings, which you don't see that often. And Kevin Owens made a valid point. He made kind of a point that made sense, but yet again didn't make sense. He told Sami that, he questioned Sami and said, why in the world am I supporting you or standing by you or wanting to team up with you if we were friends? He says, we haven't been friends in a while. And it makes you, it's kind of like, okay, where is this coming from? Do you guys want to be friends? Do you guys not want to be friends? And if you know about the history between Kevin and Sami, they once were friends. And then Kevin Owens stabbed him in the back. And then they've had this rivalry ever since. They haven't really been friends since then. So it kind of makes sense. It kind of doesn't make sense because Cody Rhodes made this a point. You don't have to be friends, but you guys are fighting the same battle, and you guys are both realizing that if you guys ain't on the same, you guys ain't working together, then you ain't gonna accomplish this overall achievement. And ultimately, this is gonna lead up to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos, more than likely for the tag team titles at WrestleMania. And I like that. But then it comes down to the end of the show where they bring Sami Zayn. I want to say what? Jimmy Uso? Jay Uso? One of the Usos? I mean, always seem to have a problem with that. Bring up Jay Uso. And it was kind of weird watching it because when they came back from break, it was like these guys were already in the ring. And I'm like, all right, so I'm assuming that they're short on time. And then after all this was said and done, they were like 3 minutes before the time, before 10 o'clock. So for me, Sami and Jay finally confronted each other. And then what ended up happening is that we saw the reuniting of Sami and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at the end. Okay. So I want you guys to listen, first of all, the engagement that that Sami Zayn and Jey Uso had. All right. Now, I want to be honest with you before I play this. I really didn't think that this segment was warranted for SmackDown. And I want you guys to listen to this and I'll explain why afterwards and everything that happened. Okay? So this is the segment, the ending of SmackDown, where Honorary Uso finally comes face to face with Jey Uso.
So how do you want to do this? But you about to hear this. From day one, I didn't like you. From day one, I didn't trust you. They know that. I ain't want you around my family at all. Yeah. Week after week, Sammy, they start liking you. Jimmy like you. Solo like you. Wise Man like you. Hell, even the double T like you, but not me. Not me, Sammy. As a boy, I always thought it was my job to protect my family, and I will today. Tell me where to aim, I'm shooting. So the one time I put my guard down to somebody who I thought loved me, what you do? Oh. You betrayed me. You embarrassed me. You made me look stupid in front of the whole damn world, Sammy. Hey, I called you my brother. You know what that means to me? Hey, somebody said I second guess myself all the time. She might be right, but I know one thing from day one, you has always been a fake ass oops. So what happened next, Sammy? What happened next? I ain't got no choice.
No, that's a lie. You keep saying that you got no choice. Guess what, Jay? You've had a choice since day one, and you choose to take Roman Reigns' abuse over and over and over. That is your choice. I loved you. I love this family. I love the family. Do you understand? But I wasn't going to take that every week the way you did, Jay. You keep choosing it. I don't think you're mad at me, Jay. I think you're mad at yourself. You're not mad that I hit Roman Reigns with that steel chair. You're just mad that you didn't get to do it first. You always have a choice. You always have a choice.
Alrighty. You know, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a tremendous amount of sense, you guys. And then that leads into basically them two, Jay and Sammy, getting into a battle. And then it gets into Sammy's Jimmy Uso comes out, and then Kevin Owens finally comes out and saves Sami Zayn. Now, okay, I love what was being said, but here's my thing for me. We already knew this was a build-up from WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble. We already knew that this was what was going to happen at the Royal Rumble. And now, you know, you're starting to play it out. It gets closer and closer. You're starting to build it. When I think you couldn't build it anymore, it gets bigger. I would have liked to see it be stretched out. I think Kevin Owens walking away on SmackDown was enough. Okay? I think that what should have ended up happening was that this should have happened. Both the Usos should have laid Sami Zayn out and, you know, on SmackDown, or even take it into Raw, right? Take it into tonight on Raw. That's what I felt should have happened. But then, if I was booking this, all right, Kevin Owens walking out saying, we're not friends. And then on Raw tonight, they have this encounterment, okay, between Sammy and Jay, and they have a match. They go on and they have a match and on Raw tonight, and they lay out, I say, Sami Zayn. And then it comes back to SmackDown, where then next week, when then Kevin Owens steps in and says, all right, you know what? Enough's enough. You're right. Should put my ego aside, work with you, at least through this match, and make the level squad. Kind of lead us up right up until WrestleMania for the excitement that we're about to witness. And I kind of wish that would happen, in my opinion. In all honesty. Let me see here. I don't see it. I don't confirm it. All right. So that was my thought. For me, overall, SmackDown wasn't a terrible program, but I did feel that they didn't, that the booking was of it just didn't go down the way that was probably expected. And I was disappointed. I was kind of disappointed through and through. All right, let's take our last break of the morning of the day, and let's come back up. I got two more segments to talk about SmackDown and get you guys ready for Raw tonight, as Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, will be on Raw to address Cody Rhodes as they prepare for the match heading into WrestleMania. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are listening to The Throne right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Looking back at the good times before it all went down. Climbed right up on the hillside, a different view of my life. You left me running on and on, but I don't care, would you let me in? You said goodbye like everything's gone, everything that we could have been. But I know you're my liability. Yeah, I know you're my You say that you're sorry. We turn the page and make up. A broken trust got you haunted. The doubting you was enough to leave me chasing you on and on. But I don't care, I will let you in. You said goodbye like everything's gone, everything that we could have been. But I know
Alrighty, last of the hour here, bottom half of the hour of hour number 2 of the program. Ready to wrap up a Monday. I want to give a big shout out to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists composers, and bands. Find this perfect sound and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com. Friday night, we got a chance to see Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair finally kind of brawl out, trying to make this as personal as possible. And, you know, I think it's about time that we finally get a chance to see that happen. Because, you know, they need it. They need the hype for it. Okay. I didn't believe that there was enough hype for the final segment of SmackDown on Friday. When Kevin Owens came out to save Sami Zayn, I didn't feel that there was enough hype from the crowd, enough energy from the crowd, as if they wanted to see it. You know, I felt like a lot of that was taken out in the previous segment because it was gutted, in my opinion. But the bigger question is, I think, out of these two, is that there's been rumors that who's going to main event night 1. We know night 2 belongs to Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. The conversation has been about who's going to main event night 1 at WrestleMania. Now, Rhea Ripley won the Women's Royal Rumble this year, and compared last year where Ronda Rousey won, and she went on to face Charlotte Flair, and they ended up not main eventing night 1 of WrestleMania, which I thought was, for me, I thought it was a disappointment to the Royal Rumble and all that. So do they make it up by Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair main eventing night 1? I guess the question I have is that something that you guys want to finish off night 1 with at WrestleMania? Because for the past 2 months, it seems like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and the Usos and the Bloodline have been the main event. And you could see the Bloodline main event night 1 and night 2. And you might need to see the main event, the Bloodline. This would be if the Usos and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens main event night 1, this would be the first time the tag team division main evented WrestleMania or a WrestleMania event night. I hear a lot of going back and forth. And I guess my concern is that you're not going to get the hype between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair to cap off night 1. And I say you got to cap off night 1 to lead into night 2 tremendously. Which sucks. What else do you want to do? I think it should be, because here's the thing. If you begin night 1, kick off night 1 with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, then by the time the end of night 2 happens, you forget about that match completely. In my all honest opinion, I think for me, there's 2 slots that the Raw SmackDown Women's Championship match could be held at. It could be the match leading up to the main event night 1 and having the tag team titles, or it could kick off night 2 for the SmackDown title. And I think those are my 2 best options for this upcoming match. I just feel that the tag team titles for the Usos, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn prolong in the main event. I feel like that's the only main event that you could possibly have for night 1 that makes sense and that can get yourself a good reaction. Let me know what you guys think. I just don't think that Rhea Ripley and I just don't think that Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair could do it. The other thing is our Rey Mysterio encounter last on back on Friday night. You know, we're leading up until WrestleMania, you guys. This is inevitable. And it just seems like, you know, Rey Mysterio came out, wanted to have Dominic on his side on this most special night next Friday night. And basically also told Dominic that, listen, if it was any other kid, I would bust him straight in the jaw. But if it was you, I'm just not fighting you. Let's just listen to what the legendary luchador tells his son on Friday night.
You want to hear the truth? You want me to give you the truth? You're right. I haven't been the best father in the world. I've missed birthdays. I've missed Christmas, graduations, football games. I know I haven't been there for you all the time. That doesn't take away my love for you, son. I still love you. But hear me out, son. Hear me out, because I'm really having a hard time coping with all of this.
It's just a little too much.
I'm being inducted into the Hall of Fame. This really hurts. This really hurts, man. I would love nothing more than to have you standing by my side on that stage. But yeah, I thought. Maybe it's too late for that. But my biggest regret is what you have become. I'll tell you what, if someone like you, some ungrateful, disrespectful, pathetic, punk-ass kid called me out at WrestleMania, I would gladly whoop their ass. Unfortunately, you're my son. And fighting you would be the biggest disgrace as a father. You're not worth it, son. I'm not gonna fight you now. I'm not gonna fight you never. And I won't fight you at WrestleMania either.
Alrighty. Well, Rey Mysterio is making it very clear to Dominic that, listen, it's not going to happen. And it's, you know, they wouldn't push this hard at WrestleMania unless you see this happening now. I think the stage is set for the match. And I'm still in favored. I'm still favored for a match at WrestleMania where it doesn't get confirmed until the Hall of Fame. Right? Well, Dominic Mysterio kind of interrupts the Hall of Fame ceremony for Rey and crosses that line officially. Now, a part of me will say that if this is that perfect world, right? And Rey doesn't actually get a chance to fight him at WrestleMania, then would be at Backlash. in May. But you got to remember, Ray doesn't want to fight his son. He says it's going to be a disgrace to the family, to his family. But WrestleMania is the only spot that these two men can stay, can have this presentation. There's no other pay-per-view premium live that this match can go down. So I still like the build-up. It's continuing. I got a gut feeling that we'll probably see it either the SmackDown of the Hall of Fame. But in all honesty, I think, in my opinion, that this should go down at the Hall of Fame. It could still be scheduled for night 1, night 2, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't think the position really matters. What matters is the build up towards it. And I think these are the only 2 matches that are left that are officially unannounced that you can say that they will be announced. The Usos and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and then also Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. But I like it. I really enjoy what Dominic and Rey have been able to do leading up to WrestleMania, as we're only 12 days away for WrestleMania. Alrighty, Monday Night Raw is scheduled to take place tonight. We have a couple of things lingering in that matter. Okay, we have. Hold on one second. There we go. We have Roman Reigns returning, which I think is going to be the biggest one heading into the night. The question I think Monday Night Raw is going to have this week and for next week is how can you elevate and top the week before? Because 2 weeks ago, we had an extremely well-perceived Monday Night Raw. So, and for me, last week it kind of went down. There was a lot of matches that were scheduled. Now, last week, Monday Night Raw, we had a match that was scheduled, Finn Balor and Edge going on in a Hell in a Cell. And this actually comes down to you quickly, because I almost forgot. My show of the week last week belonged to, drumroll, Monday Night Raw. Honestly, when I looked at the comparisons between Raw, AEW, and SmackDown, we were still building towards WrestleMania. And the reason why Monday Night Raw is on my list is because although SmackDown was pretty smooth, I just absolutely hated how the number 1 contender spot for the Intercontinental Championship went down, and also I absolutely hated that main event, that last segment that could have get pushed on. So superstar of the week, show of the week is Raw. Wrestler of the week. I'm having to think about this one. I really do. I'm having trouble thinking about this. Who do I like the most coming out of this week? This is gonna be a new one. Let's go. I think I think one of the most troubling spots in wrestling is when you set yourself on an open challenge and you really don't know who your opponent is, and anyone could walk through those ropes and try to sit there, and when everyone wants your title and you set an open challenge match and everyone is coming out because they want to tackle on that title, I'm thinking, is it worth enough? No. I'm gonna go. You know what? All right. So wrestler of the week is not going to be one, but it's going to be two, just in the fact of, listen, although I didn't like the ending to this match, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, both of these guys are really up there in age. These guys are amazing. They're capable of doing a lot, especially at the age that they're at. They've been in the industry for a while, and when you're telling them to go put out a product, like I said, they deserve to be the main event of SmackDown. They didn't get that opportunity, and they didn't deserve the way that number one contender match ended the way it did. So put me as Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. As my wrestlers of the week. All right. As we mentioned, Monday Night Raw is here. What does that mean? We have Roman Reigns returns to Raw to address Cody Rhodes in the road to WrestleMania. Logan Paul is to present a live up episode of the Impulsive TV, which I think is just ridiculous and crazy. I don't like it one bit. I don't know why you guys enjoy it. But this is kind of like just the rub off on the Miz and trying to play these jokes in these games heading into WrestleMania before his match against Seth freaking Rollins. Montez Ford and Austin Theory is going to have a match tonight. Kind of that for me. Now, Austin Theory is kind of picking at Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins at the Street Profits. And, listen, I think this is, this is all buying time, right? Buying time before his WrestleMania match against John Cena. And, maybe this is why I would have said, hey, John Cena, when you came back, you should have said no, walked away. Austin Theory then has to beg and plead and do everything he can to get a match with him because he wants to give him a match. And, then it would have been this week, John Cena said, all right, I'll give you a match. And then he would have said what he had to say. So this is kind of where, storylines and these games kind of get mixed up among segments to make that maybe is a reason why this doesn't become as interesting as it should. So, but the biggest headline is Roman Reigns returning to Raw to face with Cody Rhodes. All right, we are done with the program. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We'll be back again tomorrow to talk about Raw, everything leading up to WrestleMania. Cincinnati Reds play today at 4 p.m. We will get you guys ready for the NIT Final 8 and much more. So thank you guys for a wonderful program. We will see you guys tomorrow. You guys are listening to The Throw-In on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Guys, take care. Have a great day.